Hey y'all, welcome to Water Break. It's good to be with you. I'm your host, Gabe, and this is my host, my wife, Annie.
Hi guys.
The lead of the show, who knows all the science and all the stuff going around. My wife has for some of our new listeners, Annie's been in the exercise business for about 20 years. He majored in sports science at University of Idaho, and so I am a host of CrossPolitic.com, been involved in the business for 10 years, and me and my wife together are raising 3 kids, and we love the topic of faith, health, and fitness. And so thank you for joining Water Break. The show's also brought to you by DustyRoseTallow.com. Go to DustyRoseTallow.com/Water Break to get a 10% discount on their products. So thank you for joining us. This show this week is over time. People have asked us questions. Ask me anything. So every week we tell you, hey, if you want to be in a conversation with us, email us at RenchMedia@gmail.com, RenchMedia@gmail.com. And so a lot of these questions actually come from either reaching out to Annie on Instagram or reaching out to us via email, and we're very grateful for the questions. So that's what the show's about today, is answering your questions. These are fun variety of questions coming from all different areas, and so this is kind of going to be a show that's going to take you all over the map regarding faith, science, and fitness and everything. Go ahead, Bree. You can put my coffee right here. For our first question, I'll read some. Again, these are mostly look like emails or people reaching out on Instagram to you. So our first question, not in any particular order.
I think these were mostly email, I think.
Okay.
I copied and pasted. I might be forgetting, but
this comes from Abby. Abby in, I don't know, is it New York or I don't know, I'm just kidding.
Let's not make up.
This question is from Abby. I recently found Water Break and have been back watching as many episodes as I can in free moments. I really enjoyed the show and really appreciate what you guys are doing. And listening to different episodes, Annie has mentioned cortisol bellies as being a thing due to high stress. I was wondering if the mom pooch is really a cortisol belly, or is it perhaps a combination of diastasis, recti, and cortisol, ? Additionally, how would one go about getting rid of the cortisol belly? How would a mom go about getting rid of the mom pooch? How do you discern which one it is, mom pooch or cortisol?
Yeah, I've never been asked that before. I don't actually think. Is the mom pooch just that classic, right after you have your baby, but also
it's just
it
maybe
stays
a little longer,
and then you have another baby and it stays, or it gets a little worse, and then you're just you just have this pooch that you didn't used to have.
Yeah.
Could it possibly be cortisol? That's a good question.
It's a lot of stress to have a baby.
It's a ton of stress. No, honestly, Abby, the answer, number one, it's a good question.
Yeah.
Number two is it could be either. It could be both. I think that...
And some women can process the mom pooch, faster than others, depending on body type,
Yeah, I mean, more...
Conditioning going into the pregnancy,
yeah,
health,
totally.
Stuff like that.
I think more than anything, if I'm defining mom pooch the way I think you are, I think that's actual abdominal weakness more than anything. It's just such a problem, and pregnancy just absolutely wrecks. Well, it's the cause. It's the cause of it. It just wrecks your abs.
Yeah.
Which is okay. It's muscle. You can rehab them, but so many moms just don't. They don't do anything, or what they do, it's not really that effective, or they don't do it enough. It's well, I did a 4-week program and then I just moved on with my life. Muscles, you guys, strength, holding your body together, you have to do it forever. It's maintenance. It's like brushing your teeth. It's you know what I mean? I had clients who are they learn all the big lifts that they have to do. They squat, deadlift, push, whatever. And they're so I just squat forever? And I'm yeah.
You read the Bible forever.
Do I have
every
to
day
take
you
a
wake
shower
up.
Every day? And it's yeah, you do. Yeah. It's not like you do it once or for 4 weeks and then you're done. So all that to say, I think, at least in my experience with all the moms I see and have worked with, which is a lot, I think you could take it to the bank that most of the time at least the main thing going on is it's actually abdominal. Diastasis recti is basically just separation at the linea alba, which is the fascial line between holding together your rectus abdominis, basically. And that it's almost impossible not to get a little bit of that with any pregnancy, no matter how fit you are going in, just because of how much you have to stretch. Every once in a while, some women will get really lucky, but there's almost always some amount of separation. Right. Usually they officially call it diastasis when you have at least 2 fingers width or more of separation.
Wow.
Sometimes that just naturally, even before just over the first weeks after you have a baby, it just starts to come back together on its own. It's way more common for that to happen if it's like your first or second baby. The more stretched out, the more times you have a baby, the less your body's like, it's kind of like a rubber band, you keep stretching it, and at a certain point, it just doesn't want to come back in. So, anyways, you have to address that after every single pregnancy. Some women, the damage is so much that you need to go find an actual therapist, an actual physical therapist, and there actually are quite a few. Like abdominal,
you gotta
pelvic
basically
floor
rebuild.
specialists. Yes,
Yeah,
because it
rebuild,
is really.
yeah.
I mean, I know a ton of physical therapists who are like, oh yeah, that's not my thing. Like it's pretty specialized, and there are a lot of specialists out there. If you're local, there's a really good one in Post Falls who I found recently who I'm very excited about. So reach out to me if you want to get her information if you happen to be around here. But some girls, the damage is enough. They need to go see a actual specialist in that field.
In some cases, would it even maybe require surgery for some of these
Yeah.
situations?
It could. A lot of women, and this is what I don't like. A lot of women just go into the season of life where they're going to have their babies, 3 babies, 4 babies, 5, whatever they end up having or plan on having, and they just say,
end up having triplets at one point.
well, yeah, but
you
like
need surgery.
yes, but a lot of women go into it being like, I don't need to rehab. I don't need to take care of myself.
Yeah.
I'll just have surgery at the end. I think that's a terrible idea. I think there are a lot, surgery is invasive. It is not ideal. It's kind of like worst case scenario. So I don't think women should be doing that. But yeah, if you end up with like triplets or just something where your body is stretched beyond, like there is just no coming back from it and there's nothing you can do about it, you might need surgery to repair that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
The other situations where I see surgery ending up having to happen is simply just women over time not rehabbing their bodies in between pregnancy, because the damage really, really compounds. It's not, I don't think people understand this. It's not like it's the same amount of damage every time. It's exponentially more. It builds on the last, you know? So if you don't take the effort, get the education, hire the coach, go do the PT, whatever it takes, and spend the money and take the time, okay? Part of this is, I keep mentioning this, I want to do a whole podcast on this, spacing out your pregnancies, you guys, responsibly, long enough that you can actually pull your abdominal wall back together, you can heal your pelvic floor, and that doesn't happen in 4 weeks. It just doesn't. It takes a long time. I always said, this is just my personal opinion from personal experience and from working with a lot of women, it always took me about a solid year to feel completely back to where I was before baby, strength wise. Now, that's not to say, I mean, I would get back in the gym and get back to things about 3 weeks after. I was, thankfully I didn't have any issues with my delivery. So there was nothing going on. I didn't have a C-section, so in those cases you may have to wait longer before you hit the gym, but it was about 3 weeks in and I would get going, and I would feel pretty good, 3 months later or 4 months later, but like to get back to like, okay, I actually think my abs, my lifting numbers, just everything feels back to where it was. It took me a year, and that's me getting after it. That's me not missing many workout
you're
days.
pretty serious about that.
And that's just, you can't cheat that. It just takes time. So all this to say, I think that more often than not, the mom pooch is just abs that have been greatly stressed and stretched, often over and over and over again, and they have not been rehabbed properly or enough. And what you get when that happens, when your abs are really weak, is you get a big amount of what we call anterior pelvic tilt. So what you'll see moms that have kind
That's
of
what
like,
she's maybe calling the pooch, basically.
exactly. That's how you get it. Is it's just your abs are just sort of like this. They're not pulled together. They're not supporting your spine and your pelvis the way that they're not pulling their weight, basically. So your pelvis is rotated. That's where you see the pooch. You see excessive lumbar curve, and it usually comes hand in hand with really weak glutes, because also pregnancy turns glutes off. So a lot of this, you guys, is exercising appropriately, smartly, getting the instruction or the coaching that you need, and putting in the consistency that you need. And please remember that this needs to be a part of your life one way or another for the rest of your life. It's not just like, I brushed my teeth one time and then I did it. I brushed my teeth. I don't understand what the problem is. It's maintenance. Now, on the cortisol side of things, I do think that's really interesting because chronic elevated cortisol does cue your body to store visceral fat. So specifically, dangerous, very metabolically active fat that it sits deep in your body, in and on your organs. And there really is a look to people who are in major adrenal fatigue and have dealt with
high cortisol.
really high cortisol. Yeah, you can see it even with people who have taken excessive amounts, have had to take excessive amounts of corticosteroids. Also, you'll see it. You'll see this puffy face. You'll see just this kind of apple-shaped body. That's a thing, and it's not like moms are immune to this. And going back to my point before about how we have to be a little bit more responsible about how we space out our pregnancies. The cortisol piece is a part of that, you guys. It's incredibly stressful to carry a child, to deliver a child, and then to do the whole postpartum thing where your hormones are just like all over the place. You're barely sleeping, usually, at least for a while. You might have other little kids. Like it's an exhausting, super stressful, albeit good, season of life. There's no way that cortisol is not, I just don't, there's never nothing is done on pregnant women, like no studies, like no one wants to touch them with a 10-foot pole, but I would love to see like the adrenal state of like postpartum moms who just gave birth, moms who have a 1-year-old, moms who have like 4 little kids under the age of 5. Like, I bet it's like a dumpster fire. Now, granted, God gave us that hormone so that we can get stuff done when we really need to. So it's not like it's all bad, but I do think it's something we need to be aware of. And yeah, I bet there are moms out there who have banged out 5 kids in a row, who haven't slept, had completed a REM cycle in 12 years and are just run into the ground. I bet some of that mom pooch is cortisol. Why wouldn't it be? You know what I mean? So, and I think just lastly to say, how can you tell which one is which? Listen, the first thing you want to address is you want to look at how are my abs actually doing? Can they functionally contract? And then you want to assess the stress levels in your life. Guaranteed, most of you moms, both are bad. Like it's very common for both of those things to be bad. A very easy test of for basically diastasis recti is to lay on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor so that your back is really flat, and then simply put your hands here or have someone else do it for you and just lift your chest and your shoulders and your head, all of which is pretty heavy, off the ground. In order to do that, your abs have to contract. And what you're feeling for is, okay, are my abs able to pull together and in with minimal separation right between them? And you'll feel it if there's separation. It's like a hole. It's actually kind of weird. Or are they pulling apart? Are they gaping? Or even worse, are they tenting upward? Okay. And that's what you don't want. Most of you moms out there who have not spent the time to rehab their abs and just sort of expected things to come back together or not even thought about it because you're so busy and exhausted, it's probably, you'll find that your abs separate and or tent upward when you do that. And that is not what you want. That's dysfunctional abdominal contraction. It's a movement pattern that has, is built into your abdominals over the months of being stretched out. And you all know this, ladies, when you're pregnant and you're like big pregnant and you like try to get out of bed or you have to sit up from something in your abs. If you're looking at them, they do like this. It's like weird. That's just, that's what they're doing. And that's kind of what they have to do because there's a baby in there. But that's a movement pattern that you have to retrain after each pregnancy. And if you don't do it, mom pooch and a lot of other problems, back pain, issues that come along with it. So hopefully that was kind of long-winded, but hopefully that helps.
Hey y'all, just a quick break to tell you about a company we love, Dusty Rose Tallow. This is a small Christian family-run business started by our friends Dustin and Katie Van Vliet. They've got 3 little ones running around, and Katie's actually a nutritional therapy practitioner, so she knows her stuff.
You know we're always talking about how what you put in your body matters, but what you put on your body is just as important, and that's why Dustin and Katie started making their own skincare products using grass-fed tallow and real traditionally infused oils. No hormone disruptors or weird chemicals, which I love.
They've got everything from whipped tallow creams to sun balm sticks and even candles, as you see here on our table here. Every product is made with care so you can focus on the good works God's called you to without worrying about what you're putting on your skin.
You can check them out at dustyrosetallow.com or follow them on Instagram at dustyrosetallow. We think you'll love them as much as we do.
This comes from Aubrey. Hello, thank you much for your show. I recently found out I was pregnant and I'm scared of losing all the strength muscle fitness I have gained over the last 2 years.
Oh, yes.
Are there any things I need to stay away from while working out? Pregnant, is it okay to push myself? Thanks in advance for any advice you can give me. And then she just puts in heat, relaxing.
Oh, no, that was
you.
me.
Is that you?
That's me.
Okay.
Okay, Aubrey.
Yeah, Aubrey. And it looks like she's been working out pretty consistently for the last 2 years. So she's
good on you.
Yeah.
So Aubrey, and if your baby's already born by now, I apologize.
Yeah, we don't know.
I don't know. I think this is more recent, but I'm really sorry.
This is a question that was asked 9 months ago. 9 months ago.
Give me for your next baby.
You already have the baby, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, number one, it seems like you were really putting the work in several years leading up to getting pregnant, and that is exactly what you should have been doing. And because of that, barring any weird injuries or complications that you can't control, you have put yourself in an excellent position to be able to basically continue to do everything that you've been doing all the way through, no worries whatsoever. And I really mean that. I cannot believe how backward our mindset in America, and I don't know how it is in other countries, maybe it's just as bad, maybe it's bad, I don't know. But in America, it's so ridiculous to me how much fear mongering there still seems to be in terms of like, well, can my heart rate go up? Can I lift this? Can I squat? It's like, yes. Yes. And like, those are all things that categorically improve your health, your body's ability to not get injured, your ability to give birth, which is, again, like we always say, an incredibly athletic event. Why would you not do it? Yeah. And then on the other side of things, it's like completely normalized, or I would even say encouraged, to eat garbage the entire pregnancy long, which is nothing but detrimental to you and your baby. So I sound like I'm mad at you, Aubrey. I'm not. I'm proud of you, okay? I'm mad at all the other people. So, I mean,
and,
really,
back in the 50s, there's this, you pregnant women were allowed to smoke cigarettes.
Oh, they were encouraged, I think.
They're encouraged. Well, but then, like, working out, it was like, okay, maybe you're going a little too far.
Oh, wait, well, that's not whole. I mean, I guess it's just the prevailing whatever of the day. That's crazy. But, there are still weird, like, thoughts that still, it's getting better, but still, like, oh, never get, women will come in, they'll be like, well, I just heard I couldn't get my heart rate over 120. It's like, what in the world do you think is going to happen if your heart rate goes to 125? Like, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. Besides, maybe you'll get a little bit of cardiovascular fitness, which is going to help everybody, maybe help you avoid a little gestational diabetes, which is rampant, gestational diabetes and preeclampsia here in America, because pregnant women are so unhealthy. So,
I remember our doctor. I remember you asking our doctor, because we were first pregnant, and I think that was a question you asked our doctor 10, 14 years ago.
You mean Manudri?
Manudri.
Well, no, what I asked him was, I'm going to be active. Are you on board with it? Yeah. And he was amazing.
And he said, basically, whatever you've been doing before you're pregnant, you can do after.
Yeah, and I don't even, I would take it a step further than that. I still think you can start even if you weren't. But it does, what you were doing before does limit you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not going to go PR your back squat at 6 months pregnant, probably. But so all that to say, Aubrey, good job. Don't be scared. You can basically just keep doing everything you're doing. There's a few things you want to keep in mind. You want to make sure you're not grossly overheating. That's very commonsensical. The farther along pregnancy you get, the more you run hot anyways. You're like not probably going to go on a run in the middle of the day in Arizona in the summer. If you're in a spin class, you'll probably put a fan on you. It's just, you don't get in a hot tub. Like, just don't overheat. But if you're living somewhere like here, that's hard to do, and your body will tell you, like, you know what I mean? It's not that bad. You do need to be aware of relaxin, which is a very powerful hormone in your body that is produced throughout your pregnancy, and also
relaxin.
Yeah,
X-I-N.
Relaxin, and it's.
So I was thinking, going back to that pregnant woman, that's just all she does is relax.
Too much relaxing. Too much relaxing. Not enough exercising. That's very funny. And in this case, it's a hormone, one of the many pregnancy hormones. And it is with you. It's produced in your body all through your pregnancy, and then also continues on, I believe, until you wean your baby, until you're not nursing. So you deal with some of the fun things that come along with relaxin, even postpartum, if you're nursing. And I think I've worked with a lot of women who have dealt with this. Now, the main thing that you need to note is that it just makes you more mobile. And the whole point is to help your hips widen, rib cage widen, everything to make space for baby, to help, birth canal, actually baby to fit, because it's very tight as it is. But your body doesn't know to send relaxin just to those, it's everywhere, so you'll get like elbows that start catching, you'll get kneecaps that start moving around, knee pain is common during pregnancy, and it's really funny, it's like clockwork. All the girls who are in the gym doing all the things that they should be doing, they're always like, man, my knee hurts. It never used to hurt. Or my pubic symphysis in the front hurts because it's a cartilaginous joint and it's going like this. A lot of that, almost always, honestly, that's due to the elevation of relaxin in your body. So don't ignore it, but don't freak out because it goes away. You just need to be aware that you're a little bit more injury prone because of your hypermobility. So you just might need to slow down a little bit, be a little more conscious of your form, all that. But again, if you've been lifting years leading up to that pregnancy, your form should be spot on. So it's really no problem. And then the only other thing I would just say is you have to make obvious adjustments once belly gets big enough it's in the way. So you might have to prop your push-up up. You're not going to be doing Superman rocks on the ground. Just sub in something else. Like you can do most things. And if something feels really bad, then just don't do it. Just listen to your body and don't be a big fat baby about it. You know,
that's where I start subbing in McDonald's.
Too much relaxing. Too much relaxing.
Too much relaxing.
And I'll say, as baby gets bigger, your diaphragm is compromised, like it's smushed. So your lung capacity, your ability to just pull air in and use it does go down. So if you're like, why am I so winded? It's like, okay, you're heavier. And
your bladders are smaller and your lungs have less
really
access.
Important organs that help you breathe are squished a lot more than they used to be. So don't, there's no reason you can't get your heart rate up high. There's absolutely no reason. As long as your body seems to be handling it fine. If you're getting lightheaded, if you're getting nauseous, those are signs. Okay, back off a little bit. Yeah. You might want to look at your hydration. You might want to look at your intake, right? Because there's other things going on. You have a higher need for electrolyte when you're pregnant. Your blood volume is at like 150%. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. So some of this actually might be mitigated by just like sleeping well, eating well, taking electrolyte, things like that. But just listen to your body. You can do everything and you will be so grateful that you did it. The biggest struggle with exercising pregnant is that it feels, if all you look at exercise for, if all you look at it as a way to not get fat, then you're gonna be really frustrated when you're pregnant because exercise or not, you're gonna gain weight. The scale's going to go up. You're supposed to. It has to, right? So if that's the only thing that you look at exercise as being for, you're gonna feel really frustrated. It's gonna feel like an uphill battle that you can't win, and you're gonna quit. So you really need to look at it not as that, but as like, I'm doing the healthiest thing for my body that I can do. I'm doing the healthiest thing for my baby that I can do right now. I'm helping postpartum future me. I'm helping my labor and delivery experience, recovery. You need to be a bigger girl and think more, think broader and more long term than just about weight, because that is not enough to motivate you.
Good.
All right.
That's
anyways, but great question, and Aubrey, really good job going into that pregnancy where you should be.
Okay, this question comes from Cassie. Advice on how to come off hardcore keto.
Oh, Cassie.
I did this. There's men and women who are in this this world right now. I did keto carnivore almost exclusively for 3 years. I know you will not be surprised to hear it worked really well for me at the start, and I lost weight but after about 9 months, and my weight loss stalled. I started not being able to sleep, and my hair started falling out. I, of course, ketoed harder at this point.
Yep.
So having found your show, I realized that's when I should have exited my strategy. Yes. I'm now several years in, fatter than ever. I know I need to add carbs back in, but frankly, I'm scared of gaining even more weight. Help.
Oh my gosh, Cassie, you have the same story as like everyone.
I know.
I wrote some notes down here.
Okay. They start there.
Yeah, Cassie, you are not alone, and I'm sorry. One of the biggest disservices in the health and fitness or nutritional field right now is that people love to say that
this one thing is going to change everything.
It's really good for you, but what they fail to consider or also communicate, maybe they don't even know, is that it might be really good for you for like 6 months, but that does not mean it's going to continue to be good for you over the long haul. And that's really unfair because time matters. And it's like a whole other dimension of reality that we are completely ignoring. Carnivore is so good for you. Vegan is so good for you. CrossFit is so good for you. Anything. A lot of these things in the short term can be really beneficial. Sometimes even in the short term, they're not. But in the long term, they can end up just completely attenuating and then end up hurting you. And I think we have a really hard time also recognizing that the thing that we're doing that used to work is actually the thing that is now causing all this damage, which is why you then ketoed harder, right? Because
it works, so go. Maybe I'm going to do it harder.
The keto was working, so I'm just going to do it more, and that's a very human tendency, and I see it all across the board. So you're not alone. I'm sorry that you went through this, especially for women, because we are more sensitive to stress. And not eating carbs, you said hardcore, so I assume you really weren't eating carbs, or very, very few, is very stressful over time, and we handle that even worse than men. So I'm sure you felt really, really bad. So this is the deal. Going really ketogenic or just really low carbohydrate, really long term, years and years, that kind of a thing, is going to do some really bad things to you, and that's why you felt you had a weight loss stall. You said
hair falling out.
Your hair fell out. You couldn't sleep. Those are classic
signs.
It's the same for everyone. The reason that
Would men's hair fall out if they go through some of the process?
I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, but the lack of sleep thing would be
The
there.
sleep thing is huge.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The hair's just so funny. It's such a thing for women, but women tend to have more hair.
Right.
They tend to care about their hair more. You know what I mean? Like a lot of dudes, if their hair was kind of coming out more, I don't even know if they would notice or care. So
Unless
I
they're
don't know.
balding in spots or something.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
yeah,
But I don't ever hear about it from men, but I hear it from women all the time. Like my hair is just
falling
out. Or it's like clumps in the shower.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, scared to brush their hair because of all that, it's all coming out.
Yeah.
So the things, these are the things that happen when you cut carbs for too long, especially for women. Number one is you downregulate your thyroid, and I really would tell you, get some blood work done and see how your thyroid's doing. Now, your thyroid will downregulate fairly hard. Some women, it's like really soon after the carbs are gone. Other women, it's like it holds on longer, and it just depends on the body. I'm sure there's genetic influence there. I don't know, but eventually it comes for us all. You see that metabolic downturn at that point because thyroid is the master gland that controls all of those things. And when thyroid starts to go down, which is your body, one of the many brilliant, survival mechanisms built into our body so that we can survive really poor conditions, your body's like, wow, we haven't had a potato or a piece of fruit in a year and a half. Okay, things are clearly not good. Things are clearly not good. So we're going to downregulate. So we are more conservative with our calories. We can hold on to weight because this must be a really bad time. That's the kind of physiological cues that you're sending your body over the long haul when you never give it carbohydrates. Okay, so you're going to get a lot of thyroid downregulation, which in it is alone enough to absolutely wreck you. Okay, if all you're dealing with is hypothyroidism, it is the absolute worst. And you want to get out of there. Okay, now I would get your thyroid checked, but sometimes you can reverse it by bringing carbs back into your life. Your thyroid can perk back up and you're okay. Sometimes if you stay there long enough, which is what I think I did, it's my guess. I don't know. It could be some MTHFR. It's hard to say for me, but I think I was high stress, low carb for so long that there was no coming back. I mean, I'm on thyroid medication for life because of that. I mean, my free T3 was in the toilet. And I don't think eating more carbs and taking some selenium and I don't think it was going to do it for me. Yeah. But if you weren't as, in such a bad spot as I was, you might be able to actually bring that thyroid back up. That's great. And I always encourage people, especially if their thyroid is just kind of on the line, like maybe your free T3 is like a 2.8 or something, or 2.9, and you're like, I feel a little hypo, but it's not terrible. I would try the natural route first just to see if you can do it. It's nice to not have to take a pill every day for the rest of your life, but you might have to. It just depends. 2 years is a long time. You also probably in general, your metabolism is down regulated. You're probably insulin resistant. A lot of people don't understand this, but if you eat really low carb with very low insulin production for long enough, your body actually loses its ability to be sensitive to insulin. It's one of those tools, or one of those things, the insulin, glucagon, yin yang. You have to stimulate both of them semi-regularly, especially over the long haul, for them both to work. Okay, so you go from insulin insensitive. You're eating the standard American diet. Well, I need to help myself out. I'm going to go keto. You go keto for a little bit. Oh my gosh, my numbers are better. It's going really well. You keep doing it. You keep doing it. You keep doing it all the time. You see fasted insulin going back up, and that's because your cells are actually, because you've eaten so few carbohydrates, your cells are like actually getting resistant to insulin's actual job, and you're still producing glucose via gluconeogenesis, because that's what your body does when you won't feed it. You end up with insulin resistance again, and I see this all the time, and it's a problem. So you're probably dealing with that. That's going to add to the weight gain or the weight loss resistance, and you're going to be dealing with some serious dysregulated adrenals, and this is where the hair shed and the not sleeping comes from. Okay, that is cortisol. Usually, almost always, cortisol spikes at night. It could also be your body really trying to give you blood sugar, give you blood sugar at night. That
it doesn't have.
That it doesn't have because you're not feeding it. Yeah. It could be that too. And honestly, cortisol and glucose are produced together, so it could be a combination of all those things. But that's what that is. You get the poor sleep. You're going to perform poorly at the gym. It's just a terrible place to be. So all that to say, you need to bring carbs back. Your gut health needs carbs. Your thyroid needs carbs. Your adrenals need carbs. If you're not sleeping, you're not healthy. Good luck losing weight if you're not sleeping. It's not going to happen. So you have to bring them back into your life. The key is, and I've had a few conversations with people who have like talked into quitting carnivore. I've given them my spiel and they're like, all right. And then they message me a week later and they're like, well, I ate pizza and I felt terrible. So what do you have to say about that? And I'm like, well, you know what? pizza probably wasn't the best choice. It's not exactly a nutrient dense, good, good carbohydrate. And secondly, how do you think your body's going to handle 3 pieces of pizza when you haven't had anything like that for like 4 years? Really badly. So number one, you need to make good choices. Okay. So like mostly vegetable carbs probably. And for the sake of your gut, if you haven't been eating them, you probably don't even have the microbiome or the enzymes to break them down very well. So I would cook them well. So like don't start with something raw or, cooked whole food, vegetable-based carbohydrates, and you need to titrate. You need to start small, okay? For the sake of your insulin, getting back into the right flow, for the sake of gut, for the sake of everything, you need to titrate. So like little handful of blueberries with your eggs at breakfast, okay? A little bit of sweet potato with your salad at lunch.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So you need to start small, make good choices, and like real food,
good
whole food
carbohydrate
choices.
choices.
Yes, not pizza. Gosh.
Yeah.
And Gabe's like, I don't know.
I might debate.
I don't know. Well, your gut handles it fine. You're not low carb. But that's really all it is. You got to bring it back. And you might see, it depends on where you are, guys. You might gain some weight because you have to pay the metabolic piper. You've dug yourself in a hole and you got to, and you just have to deal with it until you can get your metabolic rate, your thyroid, all these things back up. At that point, when you're eating more balanced, you may actually find that losing weight is a lot easier because your metabolism is not so depressed and your body's not in this panic. I've also seen people add carbs back in who are under, grossly under eating, not eating carbohydrates, very stressed. I've seen them add carbs in and just generally bring their caloric intake up, and I've seen them lose weight because their body is just like, wow.
It's starting to eat actual balanced food, basically.
Especially carbs.
Yeah.
That there is an abundant signal there. There is a bring cortisol down. Everything's good. There's bread, there's berries, there's honey, it's a huge physiological input that you can give your body. Granted, the standard American diet gives way too much of that. Yeah. It's like feast all the time, and that's not healthy either, and that's why we're all diabetic. But you need it to some degree so that your body doesn't think that you're living in an absolute time of famine, right? And that's what a diet like this will do over time. So there you go. I hope that answered that.
Hey, y'all. If you care about raising your kids to love Jesus and staying strong in today's world, join us at the Fight, Laugh, Feast Conference, October 16th through the 18th at Rocketown in Nashville. This year's theme is School Wars, not Star Wars, School Wars, all about equipping Christian families to disciple their kids and rebuild Christendom. There's teaching, fellowship, jumpy castles for the kids, fun for the whole family. Annie and I, hopefully our kids too, will be there and would love to see you there. Register now at fightlaughfeast.com. Hope to see you in Nashville. How many days a week, this comes from Stacy, how many days a week should I be lifting? And how much cardio?
Well, it must be a typo.
Okay, how much cardio
should I be
doing? Should I be doing? I'm a busy mom of 4 and don't particularly love exercise, but I know I need to do it.
Oh man!
Thanks for considering. What a
Stacy.
Yes,
I do. I love you, Stacy.
Yeah.
I love your honesty, and you know what? Frankly,
I don't particularly love it either.
Yeah, a lot of people don't particularly love it. I think it's one of the biggest issues in the industry that coaches don't understand that we're drawn to the industry because we are weird and we like this and we're good at it and we like it and or had some sort of transformation, and then we're like, what's wrong with you? Just get up at 2 hours a day. I don't understand. Most of them don't have kids. They have no idea. They're paid to be fit. They have no idea, and mother of 4, seriously. So for you, Stacy, and for all you moms out there listening, and it's funny, I just did a movement consult with a mom. We were kind of talking about the same thing. Busy mom. She was trying to do an hour or more, sometimes a day, and she's like, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think. I'm just so tired.
Yeah.
And I want, basically, she was just like, there has to be a minimum effective dose. There has to be a way for me to get more bang for my buck. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And that's what moms need. You guys need to be strategic. You do need to do it. You're right. You said, I don't particularly love it, but I know I need to do it. Yes, you do. Huge negative ramifications if you don't. But there's a dumb way to do it and there's a smart way to do it. And way better as a mom because you are tired, you are stressed, you are busy. You can't afford to be a gym rat, and you honestly don't need to be one, okay? And when I say that, I mean slaving away hours a day, whether you're at home or the gym. So I would say this, for strength, the number one thing, you need to be doing it, okay? Number 2, you need to have a program that is intelligent and very, very effective for you. There are a lot of free programs out there, and I love that. I love that there's free content. I mean, there's stuff on Instagram, there's apps, there's YouTube channels, and it's really cool. But at the same time, I work with a lot of women, and I run into a lot of women when I really flesh out what it is that they're doing. I'm like, this is almost a waste of time. And I say that as lovingly as I can, but a lot of the movements are not functional. A lot of them are not repped correctly. A lot of them, the entire program and the instruction and just the whole culture of the whole thing, the weight is so light or the difficulty level is so low that you're going to get very minimal adaptations out of it. And that's really frustrating for a mom to be putting in an hour of work a day and to get very little benefit from it. You don't want that. So you need to make sure you have a program or a coach or whatever approach you want to take where it is effective. All right. Like you have a goal, muscle build, strength, core, whatever it is, ideally a little bit of all that stuff. And you are actually getting that done. That means correct movement choice, the types of movements you're doing, correct form and technique. That's obviously huge. And the right amount of weight or modification or challenge that you are really pushing your muscles to the point where they have to adapt and get stronger and or bigger. And that you don't automatically get that by just going through the motions. I wish you did, but you don't. So it's just not enough to just be doing something. And that's what I talked about with this mom that I talked to this past week is like, okay, talk to me about this program. What is it like? What kind of movements are you doing? How heavy is it? And you want to there are good programs and bad programs. There's also programs that are great for you the first month and then you outgrow them. There's that too, so keep that in mind. So I would say for strength training, you need it. Keep in mind the things that I just said. And I would say 2 to 3 times a week, full body, core included, is enough. You do not need to be strength training more than that. Now, if you've got the time and you love to lift and you're one of those bodies that doesn't need a lot of cardio, you don't need a lot in your cardio bucket necessarily. Maybe you're a hard gainer, maybe you're really lean. You can lift 4 times a week. That's fine. Maybe you like to split. Maybe you like to do some upper body stuff here, some lower body stuff here. You like kind of shorter workouts, but more frequency. There's nothing wrong with it. I just find for a lot of moms, they're like, okay, what is just the basic minimum effective dose? 2 to 3 times a week. 3 is best. But if you get on a program that's 3 times a week, that's how my lady strength training program is. And you miss one day, not the end of the world. All right. And that's the beauty of whole body is that if you miss one, you're not like completely missing entire muscle groups. If you have a leg day and then, a push pull day and then like a shoulder day and you miss leg day, you don't train legs for 2 weeks and that's kind of a problem. So that's one of the reasons I like whole body for mom. It's not like one is more right than the other, but it just functionally helps a little bit more. So a 45-minute chunk of time with very intelligent strength training should be enough, and core needs to be a part of that, okay? On the cardio side, it really depends on you. What I see a lot of women doing is just junk miles, just like tons and tons of junk miles. Well, I just get on the treadmill and I just run. I just sort of just do this moderate intensity run.
And that's almost all they do and not even lift weights.
Well, that's a problem. That's why I said strength first. Yeah. But if you are doing cardio, a lot of times it's just junk miles. It's not polarized. And I've talked about this in many shows in the past, but if you're a brand new beginner, just start with walking. That's fantastic. It's safe. It's low stress. You can do it with the kids, without the kids, inside, outside. It's accessible. Even if you're injured, even if you're 300 pounds, everyone can do it. So that's one of a bunch of reasons why walking is phenomenal. Once you get past the point where you're like, okay, I can walk 30 minutes every day. I have the habit. I'm doing really well. It's time to polarize your workouts. Okay. So ideally, what I love to see is one steady state cardio workout that can be running, that can be uphill walking, that can be spinning, where you're aerobic, you can talk, and you're going for time, okay? Because we want to make sure we stay on top of our aerobic base, okay? Secondly, something in the VO2 max range. That sounds fancy, it sounds sciencey, but all it is max effort. Whatever you're doing, something safe, running, rowing, biking, assault bike works great for anywhere from like 4 to 6 minutes. And then you take an equal time recovery in between. So 4 minutes hard, 4 minutes really slow. 4 minutes hard, 4 minutes really slow. Do anywhere from 3 to 5 sets of those, okay? Those really hurt, but those are phenomenal, and you're gonna get way more out of it at every single level than you are just getting on the treadmill and doing another poopy faced run, okay? And then lastly, sprints. And you just need to watch out for injury here. And this is why you don't start with sprints. You start with walking, for example. But you can sprint on really doing anything. You could do battle ropes. You could do stadium stairs. You could do the rower. You could do the assault bike. You can do it running. There's just more likelihood of injury with running, especially the older you get. But we're talking absolute max effort, 20 to 30 seconds at a time, 2 to 3 minute rest between sets, work up to 6 to 8. And if you're a really busy mom, you could even just randomly do them throughout the day. It doesn't have to be like, this is my 35-minute session of sprinting, although you can literally just like hop on the bike, sprint for 30 seconds, get off, go do laundry. Hop on the bike, sprint for 30 seconds, get off, make the kids lunch.
Heat your coffee up in the microwave.
Yeah. It actually works really well. And it's a lot more doable mentally for moms than being like, where am I going to find 45 minutes? So those are the big 3. And then any other movement you do, just walk, because that's less stressful to your body, and it's just you getting your steps in. Okay.
Very good. Okay. So this last question is from Janie. Janie. J-A-Y-N-E-E.
Hope you're listening, Janie.
Janie. So I've been active all my life thanks to my crazy parents who developed me in a love for outdoor sports and daily exercise at a young age. I've been a runner for about 6 years, but my ACL injury in November 2023, and getting pregnant with our first while still doing PT and finishing my senior year in college threw me off my game. Now that I'm a graduate, I'm able to go on longer runs, but I'm experiencing pain in my left hip when I run for longer than 5 miles. I will never run longer than 5 miles. It could possibly have
Spoken like a true runner. I need to run farther.
I can only
get 5.
I can't get past 5 miles. That's
funny, your brain. I am like, oh, that's terrible. And you're like, why would you run?
Yeah, why would you run that far?
Run
I don't
5
understand.
miles?
I could possibly have something to do with my ACL tear, as it's the same leg, but that's been over a year now. So my question for you is how to avoid joint pain while running. I lift regularly, have a healthy balance, whole foods diet, and sleep reasonably, considering the fact that I have a 7-month-old. Are there any supplements, workouts, or certain running form that can help me? So I'm pretty sure a little too early to be suffering from joint pain. That's
too young.
Yeah,
Okay,
too young.
so
Fair enough.
This is the last one. This is really funny because
this gal's in her 20s.
She's here in town, and she sent. She sent the email, and I was like, "Oh, great, I'll get back to you." And then her mom came, and then I ended up doing a consult, and she came along, so I was actually able to sit down and talk to her about this, which is awesome because. The first thing when somebody just writes in and is just like, well, my hip hurts or my knee hurts, what do you think it is? My answer is like, it could be a million things. Like I would have to talk to you. I would have to be like, okay, what kind of pain is it? Can you point? What hurts? What doesn't? You have to, there's just so many things that could be wrong, but I was able to do that with her. Our conversation was so good that I decided to just bring the question up anyways because I thought it would be helpful. Yeah. So we talked a little bit. I was like, okay, when does it hurt? What, where? Because hip is so broad.
Where on the hip
I mean, if you say hip pain, guys, I mean, it could be IT, it could be bursitis, it could be labrum, it could be just a muscle strain or pull, it could be arthritis, it could be so many things, and that's one of the reasons people are baffled by their injuries. It's hard to tell what it is. But anyways, I just asked her a few questions, and it sounds like it was IT stuff, which is really common for runners. Plantar fasciitis and IT band pain is really common for runners. So, but all that said, here's some of the things that we talked about that I just think everybody will find helpful. Number one, if you are somebody who's trying to run and you just have all this pain, or you're injured, maybe you're young like she is, it's just like, I'm pretty sure I'm too young for this. Or maybe you're getting older and you're just starting to injure. Okay, one thing you need to think about is that not everybody's made to run. Now, I met her and saw her. She is made to run, so that works out well. But not all bodies are actually made to run. I think some of us it gets stuck in our head that running is like your best calorie burner. I mean, which it probably is. There probably are a lot of other modes of cardiovascular exercise where you're going to burn more per hour or burn more per 30 minutes. And I just think people are like, well, I got to burn the calories, I got to run. And not every body is made to run. The bigger and taller you are, like the bigger and like bigger you are, the less likely it is going to be a good choice for you, genetically speaking. Okay. And so you just remember that. If you just seem to constantly be injured, no matter what you do, you need to consider maybe running is not for me. Maybe I need to be hiking. Maybe I need to be walking with a weighted vest. Maybe I need to look into swimming. You might need to let it go. Okay. And that is said as someone who really loves to run, and I hope to run well into like my 80s, but not everybody is necessarily predisposed to run. Okay. That also another thing to think about. We mentioned relaxin earlier when we were talking about pregnancy, something about working out when you're pregnant. You're going to run into issues here if you're nursing a baby, if you're pregnant, if you're postpartum, if you're nursing a baby. Relaxin is a big thing, and you can end up with aches and pains while running that you never had before. Yeah. So keep that in mind. And just because relaxin will go away later, which it will, that doesn't mean it can't actually cause an injury in the moment. Okay, so it's not like pretend; it's real. So if you're dealing with patellar femoral syndrome, like your kneecap is like not where it's supposed to be, you can end up with a real injury. So you need to be aware of that. You might need to adjust your footwear, your surface, how many miles you're running. You might need to run less and row more.
What kind of shoe?
Yeah, like you just might need to consider that. And also I just think it's helpful for people to understand that you are more prone to injury, not just during pregnancy, but also while you're nursing. And a lot of girls are nursing a good year, at least after that's a long time. So keep that in mind. That's around as long as you're nursing. Another thing that we talked about, and this was right up her alley, is that runners are notoriously tight. Okay.
No stretching.
They're so tight. Now, the kind of bodies that tend to be drawn to running to begin with are tight, bouncy bodies. The best runners in the world, you see them out there, they just spring. They just spring off the ground. They're not hypermobile people. They're not dancers. They're tight. Okay. So some of it is just, that's why you became a runner in the first place. Yeah. That's one of the reasons you like it and you're good at it is
God
because
chose you for the sport.
You were chosen. Yeah, exactly. There's exceptions, but that's very common. The sport itself is a chronic, linear, same muscles doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. So you're going to get overdeveloped, really tight muscles. And lastly, runners just don't really value stretching. They're usually dopamine driven, push through the pain, tight people. And so when something hurts, they're not going to be like, oh, what stretch should I do? They'll be like, no, I will run through it. And then they get more injured and then they get more injured. So a lot of those things tend to go on with runners, and you can't ignore that. Our daughter is 15 and exactly what we just talked about, so stinking tight. So gifted at running, so tight. And we just had to have this conversation yesterday. We were on the treadmill doing VO2 work, and she was like, oh, she was running very fast. And she was like, oh, my hip. And I was like, yeah, well, when was the last time you used the Theragun? Which she totally knows how to do, and she knows she needs to be doing. She was like,
4 months?
yeah. And I looked at her and I was like, this could be the thing that completely wrecks your career of running. And how dumb would that be? To be just like, I didn't stretch, I didn't do the therapy that I need, I didn't heat, whatever you need to do. And because of that, I'm wrecked. I can't run like I could have. That's really sad. So just a message to all you runners, all you tight athletes who are dopamine driven, you like to push through pain. Stretching is dumb. It's boring. I'd rather just run another mile and hop in my car. I completely understand you. I get it. But like, you guys have to take care of your bodies because the injuries will come for you. They definitely will come for you. So some of the things you guys need to think about is just regular stretching. Always do it when you're done. Obviously, do it when you're warm and you're done. Okay. You do dynamic stuff, slow jog, leg swings, things like that are dynamic, just to get blood flow to work back up to your current level of mobility and functionality before you run. You actually do your static stretching, maybe your Theragun, whatever it is after, to actually try to increase your mobility. Okay. So heat is huge. And we talked about this with her because it was IT. Heating a hot area, an insertion point, be it a knee, be it a hip, whatever. Maybe it's even like the arch of your foot, plantar fasciitis. Heat before is amazing. You want to ice something acute in the first 24 to 36 hours after an injury happens, like something tore. After that, you actually want to move to heat, and heating before is unbelievably helpful.
Loosens up the body, helps loosen up the muscles.
It brings blood flow. It brings blood flow, yes. And then lastly, a Theragun. At this point, if you don't have one of those, it's like a hyperbole. It's what we have. Like, if you don't have one, you're crazy. Like, you need one. They're really popular now. They're fairly affordable. You can get, there's a billion options on Amazon, but hamstrings, glutes, IT, quads, man, like these complexes get so tight on runners, and there's a lot, to some degree, no way around it. So you've got to put the time in to get them to open back up. And while static stretching is good, I don't think anything beats a good Theragun session. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, and it hurts too. So posterior muscles, you need someone to do it for you. Anterior quads, you can do it yourself. A little bit before, definitely after. These are the kinds of things that you got to do to keep yourself from getting more injured. So, and then the last thing I want to say here, and then I will leave you guys, is there's a thing called, and I don't remember how we started talking about this. Maybe it's because I think she had like did she say 7-month-old baby? She had a baby. He was there. He was adorable. We talked about in terms of like muscle weakness, muscle strength, what could possibly be also leaning to a hip or knee, whatever injury. And I said, well, runners, especially if you've had a baby, are very, very prone to lower cross syndrome. And it's the same thing that we were just talking about with the mom pooch. It's literally, if you look at the body from the side, it's a cross of which muscles are strong and which muscles are weak. It's super common in all people, basically, and it causes a lot of injury and problems. And it's basically weak abs, weak glutes, tight hip flexors, tight low back. Okay. And if you guys just sitting out there, whether you've had a baby or not, whether you're a runner or not, if you think about that, like 80% of you have this, and you get that tilt forward, you have abs that are not doing their job. You have that kind of pooch, you have excessive lumbar curve, glutes that aren't firing, hip flexors that are super tight. So extra work on activating and strengthening abs and glutes, which basically everyone needs because those muscles are just not naturally that strong. They really shut off after a pregnancy. And then really working on mobility, that you're stretching your Theragun, your heat, whatever, on your hip flexors and your low back. That will go a long way in terms of preventing pain, And I would say take that to the bank whether you run or not. Anyways, we did it.
Thank you, baby. Very good.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys for joining us. If you want to be in a conversation with us and ask us questions like we just kind of went through today on the show, you can email us at RenchMedia@gmail.com. Wrench, no W, RenchMedia@gmail.com. You can follow Annie on Instagram, me on Twitter, and those are great places to connect with us, and of course ask Annie also more questions. So you can go a number of these questions, or Annie's also got a a consulting packages on our website. You can go to www.anniewrench.com to be able to kind of see maybe some ways that she can help you on a more day-to-day, month-to-month basis and everything. So again, thank you for joining Water Break, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.